What's up, everybody? What's up, everybody? We are back from one panel to another. We are back. Much love to everybody. Please, please, please tap in with us. Sorry for the short notice. Coach Sean is a little green when it comes to stream yards and yard streams and all this other stuff without Ty. On this stream, I would have been, you know, out of there. Smook. Smook is out doing smook things. We trying to drag him in here if I can find him. You know what I mean? We gonna get this thing going, man. Shout out to my brother Ty Hayes. Shout out to my brother Coach Jay Milroe. And we got a special guest, Coach Carl Taylor's right here. We are here, Carl. Starting out with you, brother. What's up with you?
Not much, man. Just enjoying the night. Sitting down here, want to talk football with a couple of smart people, and the
Man, let's
genius
do
Ty
it.
Hayes himself.
Exactly. Exactly. Couldn't have said it better, man. Coach Jay Milroe. What's up with you, bro?
Man, I'm happy to jump from one to the other. You got us at Round Table Sports. We had a good time. We got a lot of stuff over there. And then man, it's a pleasure to have Coach Carl. Everybody like straight up, it's a pleasure to have Coach Carl.
Facts.
Phenomenal. Like I love when he tunes in and check. But I mean, he has a lot of good insight. And tonight it will be fun just to get into a little bit of this craziness of NIL. I mean, it's a little wild, like, right? I mean, there's benefits, there's negatives. You know, Mr. Ty up top will give us some real good in depth. I always know he will. You know, and Coach Carl, from your perspective, it's going to be fun to hear. Like you get a coach right now. You are coaching at this moment, right, with high school,
Yeah.
and you're going to have some really good insight to obviously what players are going through coming out of high school and their mindsets, right? Like I can only speak to my playing experience in the past and what would it be like now, right? Putting myself there now. But that's why I love having Coach Carl here. And of course, Coach Sean, always a pleasure to be with you, my friend. Always.
Appreciate you, my brother. And this guy needs no introduction, man. He needs no introduction. Ty Hayes. What is the business, my brother?
Oh, cash and checks, breaking necks. Happy to be here with all of y'all as we talk about the ever-changing landscape of college football.
Yes.
Always, brother. Roll Tide Goofball, Roll Tide Kennedy, Roll Tide Mimi S. Much love to you all. Much love to my brother Brinsky, who do a great job as well, man. My brother Coach Jay, Coach Smook, everybody, man, who tapping in, doing good content. We appreciate you all, man. So listen, man. Nicole, what's up with you, girl? How you feeling? Glad to see you in here. Short notice, I know. I apologize, right? But we gonna get it cracking anyway. Listen, I gotta get you guys' take on this, man. I gotta get you guys' take. Now, I coached high school ball too, as well as 7-on-7. My 7-on team actually won 2 years in a row, regionals in Birmingham, Alabama, did our thing. A2 Eagles, you already know. Shout out to Chadarius Townsend. Shout out to Quez Watkins, who in the pros now. They know what time it is. Listen, here it is. Ty Hayes, the man himself. Uh, hold on, is that me? Okay, listen, Ty Hayes. I got to get your take on it first and foremost, bro. Here's the deal: revenue sharing settlement. It's here now, right? No more crying, no more complaining. The revenue sharing is here, right? They're accepting it on all fronts, schools, collectives, all of these great things, right? I need to get your thoughts first and foremost on where this thing is about to go and how do you feel about it?
Well, look, as in all things in life, there are positives and there are negatives. Let's start with the positives. I try and be a positive person. First and foremost, if we look at the biggest challenge in front of the NCAA since NIL was passed, mind you, if I may rant for a second, whenever NIL was passed in NCAA versus Alston, they were there for a very specific thing. And I've talked about this time and time again, but I'm going to beat a dead horse. I'm going to bring it up again because it's pertinent to the conversation. The Supreme Court was there to look at a very specific thing. Justice Kavanaugh basically ripped the curtain back and said your entire structure, NCAA, is subject or suspect. I apologize. Been talking for a long time. It's illegal. You
Yeah.
cannot pass antitrust muster if we looked at this. That, in my opinion, was Justice Kavanaugh and the Supreme Court stating, hey, open up litigation against the NCAA. We want to hear another case just with a broader scope so that we can talk about the actual antitrust or lack thereof within this organization. Gentlemen, did you know that it was 10 days after NCAA versus Alston that all of a sudden the NCAA figured out how to do NIL? What's more is that you had states trying to be preemptive. You had Florida, you had Alabama, for instance, who passed legislation at the state level trying to put some parameters around NIL. Well, whenever the NCAA was trying to save their own backs and they passed NIL 10 days after NCAA versus Alston, where Justice Kavanaugh put a target on their back, Alabama and Florida were at a disadvantage. They had passed legislation at a state level that was far more restrictive than what the NCAA passed and what states like Texas could do. Now, I don't blame Texas. I don't blame states like California who didn't pass anything. Play the game. However it's legal to play it, because everybody else sure is. So if you have an advantage and it's within the realms of the law, use it. I'm not mad at you. I'd be more mad at you if you didn't use it. Why I bring that up, gentlemen, is because at the end of the day, even though I think this is a good thing, the NCAA is still at the head of this. And I've always stated they have the foresight of an apple. But the main problem has continued to be the lack of antitrust structure within the NCAA. This right here, this revenue sharing goes to answer that. So whenever we talk about the transfer portal was supposed to have something this year in January where they revoked the transfer as many times as you want. They wanted to get back to the structure of a one-time free transfer. And then after that, they could legislate what you did. A judge in West Virginia put a 14-day injunction on it stating your antitrust structure is illegal. And the NCAA bowed out of that fight. They didn't want the smoke because they already have Johnson. They already have House. They already have 3 other cases on the docket for 2025. And we all know about House, the one that just got settled. So this right here goes a long way into helping the NCAA pass legal muster from an antitrust perspective, which then in turn helps them litigate, helps them manage some of the problems we see in college football. However, there are negatives. One, what are your Olympic sports going to do? This is a very real conversation. Football and basketball are your money-making sports. The rest of them kind of ride off of the profits of what they do. There will always be a trickle down. The buck has been passed. Who pays it remains to be seen. My second question, how is this revenue sharing going to work? Is it going to be the NCAA directly, or is it going to be each team, or is it going to be per conference? Because you want competitive equity, or as close to competitive equity as you can get, especially within the Power 4, RIP Pac-12. So listen, there are positives, there are negatives. The players should be getting paid. That's long overdue. Made no sense to me that I could use my name, image, and likeness as a member of the University of North Texas's moot court team to go to local high schools, to teach speech and debate, to teach persuasive speaking, yet my friends on UNT's football team at the time, they couldn't put on a paid camp. Made no sense to me. So thankfully, we finally have some justice there where these athletes who are making all this money for these universities. There was an article a few years ago, the average 5-star, the second they get on campus, adds around $500,000 worth of projected revenue to that university. They received none of that back. So now we get more equity, but how does this all work? I don't have the answers to that, and I'm very interested and excited to see how that all plays out.
Exactly, man. I couldn't agree more. It is. I think this is going to open up a can of good things for the players, but always remember, man, these guys are not going to give you anything for free. It is a huge reason why they agreed to this, and I can imagine you'll see a lot more coming down the line. Jake, your thoughts?
Yeah, I think it's interesting, right? Like, especially now that we have the revenue sharing, like, how's it going to impact all these other sports at the school? That's been a big one. They've talked a lot about, okay, what about this teams that don't bring in nearly as much revenue? You need to put this revenue over here for this benefit. Then the next part is, the thing is about it is we already have a model really in place, right? Like the NFL already has a model. Like, why I love the term, like, keep it simple, stupid. You know what I'm saying? Because we always get into place with trying to complicate things and go into something more and more and more. Like, if someone's already doing it right, maybe watch and see what they do. right? And take that away and utilize it. So the NFL has a model in place. Can we utilize that model, and how do you utilize it? Granted, yeah, there are a bunch of questions in place for how it works in college, but for the most part, it's pretty similar, right? Now, we do say like, okay, I think SEC was just talking about it, and I think they have with others, is there's like a certain amount of money for the SEC. But here's something interesting I heard the other day. Actually, you can go back and listen to it at Teague's takes, right? Like Teague's take, Teague, George Teague and JT over there do an awesome job. But they were actually talking about like this whole thing too, and like the benefits of it, but also how it's still out of control, because there are still loopholes for money to come in, right? They've talked about roster sizes now. Like, how does this impact roster sizes from a safety aspect? And Coach Carl, you could probably speak to this a little on the roster size too, just from that aspect. But it's going to be interesting to see, because there is a safety aspect in practice. Lane Kiffin just brought it up at the meetings for the SEC, right? These post-spring meetings. And there's that. Then on top of that, again, we get into this thing of saying, all right, how do we make it fair? So that way, the way we're paying everybody, we can make sure that we're doing it in a way that is almost, I want to say, like honorable, right? Instead of going these indirect routes and paying a bunch of money over here for this player. Like, okay, that takes away from, I think, how do you say it? The whole under the foundation, like, of the game, of this competition. Like, I'm good with paying players. I wish I would have gotten paid when I played. 100%. That would have been freaking awesome. You know what I'm saying? These guys get to go back to 2016 and get paid. Well, good for you, man.
Yeah.
But here's the next aspect of it is, okay, how do we do it in a way that's fair, that we don't take away from the heart of the game, and that it just turns into always money based. Like, and that happens with so much like awesome, amazing things nationwide, right? Happens anything that's cool and fun, somehow it always gets flipped into like, how do we gain more money out of it, right?
Yeah.
Like, this game should not be money based. There's too many things you take away. And guess what? When you die, you don't get that money anyways. It's all gone. Right. All you left is the legacy of who you are and how you treated people and how you impacted this world for the positive, right? Maybe some negative, and you don't want to do the negative side. So here's the thing: is how do you make it fair so that way we don't get so focused on money, right? Like, let's make it fair so that way it helps people in the right way. And there's so many aspects to this. Like, there's a ton. So that's my start to this.
So Coach, you are presently, and I still attend camps, right now. We got one in a couple of weeks. I want to get your take on the inside of these young kids and how they look at this stuff right now, because I'm not sure how many of them know really what the hell revenue sharing is. But as a coach, when you see the pieces of the pie these kids are about to be getting, what's your thoughts on that, man?
My biggest issue with the revenue sharing is this, right? The NCAA come up with a number brand of $20 million.
Yeah.
Most colleges has 10, 12 different programs inside the school district.
Yeah.
You got colleges like Notre Dame. Notre Dame have football that's excellent in football and excellent in lacrosse. They're excellent in hockey. But football and lacrosse bring in most of the money. So are the football players and the lacrosse players getting the bulk of the money? Or the football and basketball getting the bulk of the money? Not to mention Notre Dame girl basketball team, always in the top 5, top 10. So how are you going to do revenue sharing on that aspect of it? And when you talk about the college kids, you got college kids now saying that, hey, high school kids thinking if this female is top 10 in the nation and Notre Dame paying more money than, say, UConn's paying their female athletes, where do you think she's going to school at?
That's a fact.
Yeah. Stanford basketball draws on a lot of attention. Stanford basketball packs out the crowd. The girl basketball is always sells out. So how's the revenue sharing going to be in Stanford basketball? Those type of things you got to think about. Oklahoma football, softball. Softball in Oklahoma, they what? Every other year they win the national championship.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So how's the revenue sharing? How the revenue sharing is going to be in that aspect? Is it going to be fair between female and male sports?
Mm.
That's the biggest issue that's going to be with the revenue sharing, because now if the men's sports get more money than the women's sports, the women going to have an issue.
That's a fact.
And some of the women inside the chat room probably contest to that. They're going to have an issue. If the women's sports in these schools that make more money than the football players in the Power 5 school, the men's sports gonna have a lot of issues.
Mhm.
If softball making more money than basketball players gonna have a whole lot of issues. So when it comes down to the NCAA, I would say they put a $20 million sharing on it. Maybe they should put a $20 million stipend on it and then come down there and then they analyze every single thing inside of the stipend. Football gets so much, basketball gets so much, softball gets so much, baseball gets so much, lacrosse. Like put a cap on every single thing in the program. Start out every single program get $1 million, and then everything after that you start splitting it, revenue sharing splits, so everybody get turned out equally. And then you pay your kids accordingly. So if you got a 5-star kid coming in, drops 20 points a game, hey, he gets the buck of the share.
Yeah.
And at that point, now kids coming in, they're going to work harder. They're going to practice longer. They're going to get more shots up. Kids that coming in, need 3 or 4-star wide receivers, they're going to be on the field extra long. They're going to run their routes more crisp. They're going to kill themselves trying to get more balls thrown to them. The quarterback that's on the back burner that sitting here like, man, I'm never going to get on the field and play. Hey, when my time comes, I'm going to be ready to play because I'm going to practice hard every single day. I'm going to go out here like I'm in the pros and practice like I'm the starter. I'm not coming to school just to be a backup for 3 years to get a free education. Now I'm practicing like I'm a starter because I don't want a $20 stipend. I'm trying to get at least a $3,000 stipend.
Yeah.
Even though I'm a 4th-string quarterback. So
Facts.
those are some of the things that we got to think about when it comes down to this revenue sharing. So as a high school kid, I have a few high school kids that's talented, but we're in a small market. So a lot of my kids don't get seen. So my idea one day was like maybe start me a little podcast or something, and I was gonna bring some kids on from the small district and do some highlights film. So some of the 1A, 2A players and get a little shine. So I said I might do that one day. But a lot of the kids from our district, the biggest NIL deal they're gonna get probably gonna be what, $10,000 for 4-year scholarship. They're not gonna make a lot of money on NIL, but their mentality, so they're gonna have to go somewhere. They're gonna have to work hard, work extra hard, work even more harder, just to get a portion of what somebody else getting a whole lot of it. Take Jalen Milroe for example, $20 million going to Alabama. You think Jalen Milroe gonna take $50,000?
Absolutely not.
It's not gonna happen. So the
So hold
football
on, let me
program
ask you
taking $5 million.
Let me ask you a question, Coach. Let me play devil's advocate with y'all. All right. I hear what Coach is saying. I spoke about that yesterday. That's right on time. But what if I say, because remember, this stuff can open Title IX issues. This stuff could open, I called it last night, state to state equality. What I meant by that is some states can do things that other states can't do.
Yeah.
Right. And the number one thing, and I can't wait to get your take on this, Ty, to what Coach was just saying. Let me play devil's advocate just for the people in the chat. I hear what you're saying, but Coach, what would you say to a non-revenue sport guy? Like, I know lacrosse is big at, let's just say, the swimmer at Alabama. Let's just hypothetically say that, right? And Jalen Milroe, should he get anywhere near what Jalen Milroe's getting, a piece of the pie? Go ahead, Coach. Continue, Coach.
No, I mean a swimmer at Alabama compared to Jalen Milroe, I would say no. But Alabama win the national championship in golf every single year.
Yes, a fact.
brings in a lot of money.
Okay.
And those guys leave Alabama, go into the PGA, makes a lot of money. So you
That's a
say
fact.
a PGA golf guy and Jalen Milroe, who you think should get the most money? Those are some of the questions that you have to ask yourself. I can understand the swimming side of it. No, not a swimmer, but you think about Alabama basketball and Alabama gymnastics. Alabama gymnastics sends someone to the Olympics every year. It's kind of like a toss-up. You take a bench guy, seven string. I mean, what 7 man off the bench gymnastic? That's kind of a toss-up. Or Alabama pitcher, softball pitcher. It's toss-up.
That's a
Man.
fact.
It's like it's tough sweating. So I mean, I would say NCAA, thank you for the stipend, but put some boundaries up. I don't think $20 million is enough, honestly, because Alabama football revenue was 100, sometimes $200 million a year. Let's do 10% of the income on each sport. The revenue sharing 10% of the income on each sport, and then that way the kids get a bigger portion of what they bringing into the sport. Instead of they just getting the NCAA just give them a little piece of the pie. Just give them a bigger portion of what they bring into the sport. So that's on their name, image, and likeness anyway. But on the way to fill in the stands because we got Jalen Milroe, Justice Hayes, and a bunch of other great kids in the seats anyway. I mean, you put their jerseys on, they go out here and perform. That's why we buying those tickets to come see them. That's why we watching them on TV. Give them 10% of the revenue that they bring in every year. That makes a whole lot more sense to me. Per school, per Power 5 league. I mean, Power 4 league. No matter what league you in, if you only bringing in $400,000, you get 10% of $400,000. That's the way I see it. It'd probably be the best way to do it, and that keeps everything fair.
All right, Ty, let me get yours. I can't wait to hear what you guys say. What you think about that? Non-revenue generated sports as opposed to revenue generated.
Yeah, I mean, listen, and Alabama's AD just did an interview about this and talked about how he worries about it. And he was talking, Jake, to your point, he was even talking about the NFL model. And he's like, listen, in a perfect world, that makes a lot of sense. But the problem is we've got 21 programs.
I know.
Right? Like how do we do this with 21 programs? That's the question. And then the other question is this. Coach Carl made a great point about the differences in sports, right? Like Notre Dame lacrosse making a lot of money. So how are we going to divide this among sports? Here's a great example. This is a college football, we're all college football fanatics, so I'll give you a college football one. Let's stay in the SEC. Do we think Alabama is valued at the same rate as Vandy? No, of course not, right? But will Vandy be then making as much as Alabama? And hopefully they will because of equity, right? Like if we get away from competitive equity, what's the point at that point? Like genuinely, what is the point? You will then have the major teams in college football running everything because why in the world would someone go to a Kentucky? Why in the world would someone go to an Ole Miss whenever Alabama is killing everybody in terms of viewership numbers? And listen, as an Alabama fan, that's awesome because you're placing yourself at the top of the totem pole. But college football is great, gentlemen, because of meritocracy. College football is great because any given Saturday, you could get your butt kicked, and that might be your season. That's what separates it from every other game in the nation. You look at the NFL. The New York Giants lost how many games, went to the playoffs, and then won the Super Bowl, and that was incredible. You don't have that in college football. Why? Because every Saturday matters. The value of one college football game in terms of what it means for your season is higher than any other sport in the nation. It might as well be one of those basketball tournaments where it's a single elimination. That's the type of pressure we have. If we get away from any sort of equity at that point, all hopes of that is gone. The college football season is then cheapened, and maybe that's where we're going anyways. But these are the problems that the NCAA is going to have to work out. Coach Carl said it best. I mean, they are going to have to really sit down. I don't know that 20 mil is enough. they're going to have to sit down and figure out a way that whether it's per conference or across the board, you're able to supply an equitable playing field. And the hard part is, gentlemen, is we've already had cases in the past about teams saying, why should I get the same revenue in our revenue sharing as this team whenever I'm much more popular? Why should I? Well, the NFL does it, right? In terms of how they divide up their contracts, everybody has the same amount. That's what we need to work towards. And if we can do that, then we're good. But I wanted to shout out some people in the comments. Always believe in Bama. Thank you for the prayers. Die Hard Auburn fam says, I see us beating Bama by 10 this year. Cam Coleman and Peyton Thorne will feed families. Brother, if you're relying on Peyton Thorne to feed anybody, we're going to be starving in this house. Let me tell you what. It's going to be a long football. We're going to be starving.
No,
Go ahead,
Ty,
Jay. Get your thought.
Yeah, no, Ty is bringing up some really good stuff.
Yeah,
And
man.
Coach Carl, you do too. Coach Carl brought up, I think, probably something really, really, I think, thought provoking, and it's the aspect of different sports at different schools generate different revenue. And Ty, you were getting to that, and yeah, I mean, but I did see a comment, and if you could highlight that again, Ty or Coach Sean by Coach Al. The last comment by Coach Al. This is really important, I think, and he nails it on the head. It doesn't matter. It does not matter all that stuff. Again, I'm going to go back to this. We need to stop thinking about money being money. It's all damn people. Like, when are we going to get to a point to say, like, how do I just do the right thing and not make it about money? And that's the hard part, right? Because we need money to survive. We need money for experiences. In some ways, we need money to make memories, right? We need money for these aspects because that green controls a lot. But at the same time, as Coach Al, you had said, it's still college. You're going for an education, right? It shouldn't be about necessarily putting us in a position to who can make more here, who can make more there. I agree with what Coach Carl said too, is like 20 million, and Ty, you tapped on this too. Like 20 million is not enough if we're going to go down that route. Title IX is it's going to be brought up. It's going to happen no matter what. Title IX is in play, everybody. Yeah. It's going to have to be equal. It doesn't matter anymore. Like, it's going to have to be equal. But here's the next aspect to it too, is NIL still exists, right? Like, so unless we take away the NIL structure, which I don't even think we can now, because we've already introduced it in, like, it would have been smart in the beginning to start with like a certain amount of money and not jump into NIL right away. Instead, we did the opposite. We said, all right, NIL's in play. It's a free for all. The blood's in the water. Sharks come and feed, baby. And it just went chaotic, right? And now we're trying to taper it back and structure it. And it's going to be hard to do because NIL, it's going to be impossible to bring that back. Now, how do we do it so NIL paves a way that it's actually name, image, and likeness, like Coach Saban has said, that it's actually sponsorships that you go and earn based on this, and this. And then here's the next aspect is you have the sponsorship part, right, of this, and then the players have their like base salary from the college, and that every school can get that. I mean, every sport in the program can get that, but also are we using that to pay for scholarships? Are scholarships still in play now? Because that's a ton of money too, right? Like, so how does that? It's going to be very interesting from that aspect, because if we're doing just NIL and we're doing a base salary, but then what happens with these collectives, because they're private? There's not a whole lot there. We can try to like push them out. It's still going to happen, right? From a collective standpoint. So there's still going to be ways to feed, and whoever has the biggest collective, right? Are they now, because we don't have scholarships, do we get a increased roster sizes so anybody basically can have whatever size roster based on the amount of money they have? Like, that's the other thing. That's ridiculous. That's insane. So here's where I come back down to it, is like, I like that we are at revenue sharing. At least it's a step forward, but it has to be, we have to get back to some basic concepts of this and tap it and get it fixed as quickly as we can, or else it continues to be chaotic and cause all these unscaled issues that we're not aware of. It's like, all right, let's have some sense of urgency in getting this done. Not the government sense of urgency, because we all know how that works, right? It's all real slow, just like old Joe. No, I'm just kidding. Sorry, guys. But I'm saying from this standpoint, it's just real slow, right? Like it takes forever to get decisions. So let's get it done. Urgency, let's go, right? So that's
Yeah, like from most of the stuff I read about the revenue sharing, most of it come like the scholarships will still be there. I think they're gonna lose, so like schools gonna lose like 10 scholarships in football a year, and but the scholarship still is gonna be there. The only revenue sharing is taking place of the stipend. You know, like most colleges are now giving kids stipend. So the revenue sharing is taking place of the stipend. So it no longer will be stipend, it's just gonna be revenue sharing. So all the freebies that they was getting in place of the stipend, it basically ended up coming up to the price of what the revenue sharing is at anyway, because colleges was spending like $30-something million a year on all the free stuff that it was giving away. So it's just basically replacing the stipend and just giving a revenue sharing.
Well, and I mean, in that, that makes sense, right? From that standpoint, like I guess when we keep looking at this, and there's a comment in here too, like by John Newsom. What's up, John? How you doing, man? Texas. I'm sure you're a big Longhorns guy. The comment says, Jake, you had no problem with coaches making 12 million. Yeah, 12 million each year. It only became a problem when the players wanted to participate in the riches there and schools on the field, which I mean, in the end of the day, like that probably should have been done a long time ago. Like I said, I played, man. Like I mean, I played at the time Power 5. All right, like and so I get it. I was recruited by every single Power 5 conference there is in multiple schools, so I get that aspect, that why the players want to participate, and I think that's a fair thing to say. There's people don't realize what it's like to be a Division I college athlete, especially in football. Your life, it's a full-time job. It is a full-time job. You do not have time for a whole bunch of stuff. And now, especially today, because now you really have to market yourself. You know what I'm saying? You want to earn some of that NIL besides obviously your play, but because that's what it comes down to, right? You have to be a stud to earn that money. But I mean, I'm telling you guys, like it's like that. I think it's great that the players get to participate, but man, just if only there could be better steps that were already made, and that's a what if. That we can't go back in time and fix things. But now, how do we get it so we can make it so it almost comes down, and I hate to say it, like from a morals standpoint, like how do we do this morally correct instead of being so enamored by the money? Like you look at On3 just had this huge player conference to educate these young men in NIL and in this money aspect of what's going on. It's interesting to listen to interviews by On3. If you didn't check it, it's On3 Elite. They did a phenomenal job. I applaud the hell out of them for what they did, right? And education wise, bringing players back, talking about what goes on and how to do this the correct way. But one of the things too on that aspect, right, is you had to kind of get a listen to some of the players' interviews and what's your take on money in the recruiting process. And a lot of them, they said the right thing. Like, money's doesn't impact my decision. Does it though? I don't know. Some of them for sure. Like, that's the right way. You shouldn't let it necessarily impact your decision. Others, it's hard to ignore. I mean, it's the temptation that's always tempting, right? So that's where it's like, okay, how do we get these parameters in place so we can get this fixed as quickly as we can so we can get the game back to what it's meant to be? You got to think about the lessons you get away from this game. What you get more value from playing this game than money. I'll tell you that right now. Like it goes way further in life than what you know right now, which is money. So
Coach Sean,
let me say,
question,
go ahead. You good? Go ahead.
The question that did, Coach Sean, let me ask you this.
Okay.
What happens to the ACC when the SEC and the Big Ten if they revenue sharing is $10 million to the football program? What happened to the ACC?
At some point, I believe with or without revenue sharing, you're gonna have to get in where you fit in. I believe that's where we're headed. I believe when you saw USC jump to USC is a staple on the West Coast, man. That's not just any school on the West Coast. That's USC, right? When you down south, if you don't know nothing about the West Coast, you know SC, man. Well, SC in the Big Ten now for that TV contract. Florida State, they see the writing on the wall. They trying to get the hell out of the ACC by any means necessary. Let me say this. When I was at BJ, when I was at Bar Jones, we had this introduction. It was called the SAC. It was the Student Athlete Compensation course. We had to take this and really break it down. Even when we was at James Clemens, they had the same thing. We really had to break down the packages to the parents and what it was. And we used AAA as the example and how they come in and get these kids $2,000. The kids who highly rated, but they're just not the, super duper triple 5-star athlete. When I tell you, even the rules and of that stuff weren't really rules, right? So I knew it was going to be a free for all for at least the time being. But if you remember, guys, on the past shows, I said at least give it to the summer. At least give it to the summer. Anytime you have the Big Ten and the SEC who don't see eye to eye on a damn thing, I don't care if it's which side of the coin you're talking about. Them two conferences don't see eye to eye on nothing. They're in direct competition with each other in everything. Anytime you get the commissioners of them two conferences to work together, you know something coming down the pipe. Let me get Ty Hayes in here. Jump in here, Ty.
Yeah, here's the only problem with that, Coach, because I agree with you about the two they were also the commissioner that had that back alley handshake between the ACC, the Big Ten, and the Pac-12. And the second it became convenient, the Big Ten went in there and shot the Pac-12 in the back of the head like the old farm dog that's lived a little bit too long and maybe has killed some chickens, right? Like, I don't trust the Big Ten as far as I can throw them. And I'm not very strong.
We don't trust your conference. Shout out to my brother Mike Ford from Michigan, man.
Shout out Mike Ford, man. But listen, and I don't say that to say I blame the Big Ten. At the end of the day, one of the things that we have got to admit, whether we like it or not, is that the almighty dollar is what makes the world go round. Simple as can be, right? I don't like it, but that's a reality that we cannot escape. Money makes the world go round, right? It is what it is. So I think that's a super interesting question you pose, Coach Carl, because I look at the ACC and Clemson and Florida State are trying to figure out how to get the heck up out of there.
That's a fact.
They look at what the Big Ten and the SEC just signed for, and they say, we want some of that. And it also gets into something I said not too long ago when I was saying what happens whenever Alabama and Vandy are having to revenue share the exact same much, but Bama is responsible for a much larger percent of that pie that the SEC or college football is splitting, right? Like if we're being honest, Bama, Notre Dame, USC, OU, Georgia, like there are going to be 10 teams that are responsible for the lion's share of the revenue that everybody will split.
Yeah.
What happens? How long does that happen before people are like, okay, I'm done with this? Like we just seen in the ACC. This isn't something that I'm imagining, ladies and gentlemen. We're watching this in front of our very eyes in the ACC because Clemson is looking at Boston College, FSU is looking at Boston, and they're saying, why in the world am I sharing my revenue with you when I'm responsible for far more of this pie than you're responsible for? It's the reason why the Pac-12 is gone. We want to talk about why the Pac-12 is gone? Greed. They were supposed to sign their TV media rights deal before the Big 12. The Big 12, understanding how business works, jumped in front of them, signed their deal before the Pac-12 signed theirs. The problem came, gentlemen, whenever the Pac-12 commissioner at the time had promised all these teams, oh, you're going to get X amount of millions of dollars a year. Well, the Big 12 signed for way less than the Pac-12 thought they were going to get. And then every one of these TV companies looked at the Pac-12 and said, why am I going to pay you more than I just paid the Big 12? It's just like a quarterback when they sign a contract in the NFL. If you're one of the top 12 quarterbacks, you just reset the market. The Big 12 reset the market and absolutely, like I just said, took the dog that was the Pac-12 out back. And I grew up on a horse ranch. I don't think I need to tell you the rest. But
Fact.
this is going to solve problems. This is going to create problems. Thus is the natural order of change.
I believe it. I believe it, Ty. Man, listen. I think this thing is good, and I think it has its issues. I do agree. Having played this game at that time, a Division II school, Division I AA as they call it now, FCS as they call it, HBCU school. You know, we didn't have a lot of money like that. You know, as you know, Coach Carl, you know, coming from Alabama A&M University, which is one of the better HBCU schools, right? You look at our, you know, university is beautiful, right? You know, you go look at some of those football facilities at Grambling and Southern. It's like, ugh, like really, y'all dressing here, right? We got a pretty damn nice one here, you know. So when you look at the revenue sharing and what happens to the Division I AA schools, what happens to them? You know what I mean? So it's. But I will say this, man. You know, you can say what you want and chop it up how you want. When USC and Washington and those guys left the Pac-12 and the Pac-12 is now defunct as far as football goes, that's when I knew we'll never turn back. We'll never turn back. For God's sakes, man, Stanford is in where? Palo Alto, Jake, California.
Yeah.
They're in the ACC, man, with Wake Forest, right? So you know, bro, they're not turning back on college football. There's way too much money to be made, right? And you have streaming services want to get involved now. Warner Brothers want to get involved now. Everybody want a piece of the pie for far as college football. And I do believe that's I don't know how good or how bad that is. I just don't know, right? But listen, transitioning into something, because I got 100 people inboxing me, asking me these questions. And you know, Ty, anytime we talk defense about the University of Alabama, I go to Jake Milroe. That's just what it is. Coach Smook ain't here, so I'm gonna go to Jake Milroe. I'm gonna go to Jake Milroe anyway. You know what I mean? We got Coach Carr here, my brother Ty here. Listen, Ty, let me start off with you, man, and I'm gonna transition to these guys and let them go back and forth for his defense. And I'm just gonna listen. I'm the offensive guy, right? Ty, I need you to tell me, what do you believe you're gonna get out of Kane Womack? We went over this before. We told everybody, but we still got people not sure what the hell they're gonna see. They're freaked out by A-Day. I'm trying to make people understand the offense is going to always be ahead of the defense, right? We were always ahead of the defense all the time, right? Defense didn't know what the hell was going on. We come out in the bunch said they don't know what to do, right? We do. They don't. So I'm trying to tell everybody, Ty, don't freak out, man. It's just a spring game. Get these kids time. We're transitioning from a match defense to a vision coverage defense. You know, get these kids time, man. They'll grow into their roles, speak to them, Ty, and then transition to these guys and let Merrill and Carr go back and forth.
Oh, you're muted, Ty.
Wouldn't be a live show if we didn't have one of those, ladies and gentlemen. So
right.
I'll be brief and then I'll let these gentlemen take over. But one of the things, what can you expect from Womack? First off, whenever we look at Indiana, they were one of the most improved teams from before he got there to when he took over the defense in all of college football, and how much they jumped up the rankings. Fact. They had a massive change. They were also one of the top teams in the nation in terms of turnovers. They were one of the top teams in the nation in terms of red zone defense. And everybody's saying, oh, well, what happened at South Alabama, right? I want to take everyone back to this. Nick Saban, defensive genius. Yes, we can all agree on that, right? Everybody here can agree on that. Everybody wanted Pete Golden gone. Fact. Even though he was calling Nick Saban's defense. So Bama fans, and I love you all, I hear so many people saying, oh, well, whenever Kane was at South Alabama, that defense gave up X amount of points. It wasn't very good. Bama's defense under Pete Golden gave up a lot more points than they should have. Even though it was Saban's scheme, if you don't have someone that has mastered that scheme and knows the feel of it, good luck. You can have the key. It's like this, gentlemen. How many people watch F1? Lewis Hamilton is an incredible driver, right? Now, if you put me in that same car, sure, I would have the same horsepower as Lewis Hamilton. I would have the same capabilities. Do you think I'm going to do what Lewis Hamilton is able to do in that damn car? No. I'm going to put that thing into a wall the first second I get. And that's as simple as it is. It's the same argument. What can you expect from Kane Womack? You can expect a defense that's fast. You can expect a defense that's flying around. I think it's going to be great for the secondary, considering that's where you're replacing the lion's share of your talent. This 4-2-5 or 3-4 nickel, as he likes to call it, you are going to have that stress off of your defensive backs coming from this match coverage, which, by the way, gentlemen, one of the things we always saw under Saban is everybody was either covered up like Stinkle and Poop, or you saw someone running free because there were so many checks that had to be checked off before you found out what's my assignment. It's like a pilot taking off. I got to go through a 5-page essay and check things off before it's like, okay, this is my assignment. You're not going to get that same thing with this new system, right? It's going to be a little bit simpler. Not to say that it's going to be child's play. It's not.
Yeah.
But it's going to be much simpler. I think the guys are going to be able to read and react far quicker. I'm excited.
Yeah, that's a good take, Ty. I like it, man. That was good. I was on that one, man. I think it's we should note right here, and this is where I want to give a shout out to Coach Carl. Well, not this side, Coach Carl, because in the end, like Coach Carl, like we had just started talking about this just prior to starting up the show. Coach Carl runs this defense. He knows his defense very well. So it's going to be nice to hear his take on it and not just always my take on it all the time. I know you guys get sick of hearing me talk about this defense a lot. I will say this real quickly before I kind of pivot this over to Coach Carl so you guys can hear his perspective on it and running this already. With Womack, the beautiful thing is that Saban's defense towards the end of his reign and Womack's defense it's all kind of moved towards each other, right? You definitely see this mesh. You will see. We're not saying you're just going to see straight zone all the time. Okay, we're not saying that, but we do see, maybe taking away some of these, especially in the coverage aspect. I'm getting straight to that because that's probably where everyone's question is going to be the most of, due to the fact that we have young defensive backs. But again, like this in this sort of ideas is how you brought it up. You either saw really good coverage or you saw a lot of broken coverage where you get some really wide open dudes because why? Someone messes up on communication or doesn't see their key to pick up on the next rule to follow through the steps of pattern match coverage, right? So it's interesting to switch over more of this vision break, as it's called, a vision break coverage that majority of the time you run like a cover 3 out of. But I'm excited. I think it puts guys, especially as you learn it and you kind of transition into it, because it's not, you don't just go out there and be like, boom, I know all these things right away, especially when you're young, right? You're learning, you're going through the process. Again, I say this all the time. They're playing in practice against Kalen DeBoer's offense, everybody.
Yeah.
They're not going to see a whole lot of offenses that are similar or as hard to cover as they'll see it in practice. So there's a lot of good feels towards this. But Coach Carl, I'm going to let you jump into this on the 4-2-5 and what you guys do, and obviously how you can explain it a little better and how it's beneficial. Why do you think it's good? What do you think negatives, positives are?
Okay. Let me give y'all a little insight about that 8A first, right? In 8A, the first half, a lot of people talking about offense was moving the ball down the field like it was illegal, right? Guess what? In the first half of the 8A game, the 4-2-5 defense was vanilla. They wasn't playing a lot of tight coverages. They were playing basically cover 3, but giving a lot of guys open spaces. So quarterback get more reads in and out, pass out faster, getting guys chances to come out, their breaks get open to see the ball coming to catch the ball. So that's how I was rolling in the first half. They were giving guys chances to make plays. And then once you started seeing the defense start scoring points was in the second half because the defense started tightening up. And then they start actually playing defensive coverages. Guys start getting interception. The receivers start being blanket covered when nobody running wide open free anymore. So with the 4-2-5 defense, it's designed as such. You put your speed in the spaces. A lot of teams like Texas beat us last year with a Xavier Word over the top because he was so fast. A.D. Mitchell beat us because they were so fast. Nick Saban was trying to play the 4-2-5 from a 4-3 base. So his 4-3 base was basically a 4-2-5, but he had a 4-3 base on the 4-2-5. That was the biggest issue. He put slower safeties playing against fast corners. With Caden Womack's defense, he's not going to have for safety playing against fast wide receivers. It's not going to happen. He's going to have corners in the game playing safety. His rover will be a corner that can be universal rover that's going to play safety. He going to be on the fastest guy. So when this guy come down and plays the slot, this guy going to be able to turn and run. Then he's going to have two fast safeties over the top, which we already know he got two great safeties on transfer portal. They're going to play over the top. And with Smitty being back there, Smitty got good hands, good fast eyes, and he can play the ball excellent. Hate Tony Mitchell left because I really thought Tony Mitchell was going to be that spot with that speed and that ball. Tony Mitchell's a ball hawk. If he had to stay, I think he would have won that spot in the fall because he's a ball hawk. That 4-2-5 defense is a defense that you want to run. You put your speed in space. Most people like Steve Sarkisian. What Steve Sarkisian make his money on? Putting his speed in space. So now once you put his speed in space, we count with our speedy cornerbacks and our speedy safety in space. So now when he running his crosses, you don't worry about when you're running your miss routes across the middle. Our guys don't miss because most of the time they play in a particular zone. So when you're trying to cross us in the miss, we just drop it back into the zone. Most of the quarterbacks are throwing the ball to a particular spot in the zone. That zone is not open. Now they have to make a read. And with the wolf and the bandit coming around that corner, if you got to make a different thought or a different read, you will sack.
I love that.
So this defense is going to be awesome. Long as that wolf or that bandit on the edge does their job, it's going to be nightmare for opposing teams. The only way to beat the 4-2-5, you got to have a physical downhill running team like Michigan.
That's where I was going.
4-2-5.
So let me play devil's advocate.
Downhill running team. But with K. Warmack's team, you got to think about it. K. Warmack 4-2-5 turns into a 4-3 because he moves. He removed his rover. What I call it, we call it now. Maxwell, we call it rover. He will remove his rover and he'll add on another linebacker, which is Jeremiah Alexander. When he tells you, when he put Jeremiah Alexander in the game, things happen. That means he's adding the third linebacker in the game. That's how he makes things happen. So now you can't really run the ball down the line because you got a 4-3 defense, but you still got your corners and your two safeties over top, just in case you want to run play actions. That's what he mean about when Jeremiah Alexander get in the game, things happen. That's what he's
so hold on. Let me ask a question. Let me play devil's advocate with these two. Let me just switch it around for him, Ty. Okay, I'm Georgia. I know you're 4-2-5. You know, it's very good against inside-outside zone. I get it, right? So what if I'm Georgia? You got your little overhang over here. I'm gonna run at him. He'll turn and run with me, but will he tackle though? I'm gonna turn and run at him. If I'm the offensive coach and I see you in that D, I'm gonna run at him every team, even if you stop me a few times. How do you stop the team that's gonna come downhill? I'm not gonna really test your safeties, and you better not bring them up to the line of scrimmage. But I'm gonna run at your overhang. I'm gonna run at him. I'm trying to get you in some unbalanced situations, and I'm gonna run at him every time. So how do you and see if he want to tackle? So how do you stop that? How do y'all stop that?
Georgia defense is simple. I mean, Georgia offense is simple. It's easy. You can easily stop Georgia.
Right.
You put Jeremiah Alexander, you got Lawson, and you got what's the other kid? Campbell. You put Campbell, Lawson, and Alexander in the game. That downhill attack Georgia got, those three killers. You're not running the ball at the middle, you're not running the ball on the outside, and then you got your two wolf and your bandits on the end. So Georgia like to either come down here or bust it to the outside. Yeah. The quarterback is a one read guy. Once he turns it here to the second read, if those guys on the edge come around the corner fast enough, he's gonna be nervous. He's a one read guy. He's a quick hitter. Once he come out, he see that scene, he want to hit the scene. You have to make a second thought, then you got it. That's how you beat Georgia. You gotta make that guy make 2 reads at least. You got to come off the first read, go to the second read, you got to get to the third read. You got it. But coming down here, you're running that 4-3 with those 3 guys, or just in one of those with tight freshmen. I mean, come on, man. You got Yancey Pierre coming off the edge. Oh my God, bro.
Okay, but will he tackle?
You can run Georgia crazy.
Tackle,
y'all say Pierre?
Will he tackle?
He from Eufaula, Alabama. You tell me.
You tell me what he tackle. Shaw backyard.
you tell me what he tackle. Right.
Okay, I got you.
So
Jake,
that's, I think. Go ahead, Coach.
I was just about to pitch it to you. I want to know, Jake. You got some talent out there now. You got some pass rush. You got some talented kids. But if I catch little Red Morgan, who's super physical, he may get me a few times. Will he tackle? I'm gonna run my 225-pound back. I'm gonna try my best to run at him as much as I possibly can. Will he tackle in this 4-2-5? Do you have to have somebody that's gonna tackle and playing that overhang or that rover or whatever the case may be?
Well, yeah, of course you do. And I think the question is not a matter of saying, will these guys come up and make a hit? I mean, you look at what Saban's defense does, right? Like what he gifted DeBoer with this class of outstanding defensive backs, this outstanding class in general from a recruiting aspect. But let's just take away the freshmen. Let's take away the freshmen for 1 minute. And let's just think about what they just did. I think, with the what was it? The winter portal, I guess we could say. And then they've done with the spring portal. Okay. So winter portal, you go out, you grab Keon Sabb, right? You grab a couple players from Washington from the offensive side of things. But really that key aspect of what we were able to get was Keon Sabb, right? We needed that. We needed that replacement for Caleb Downs leaving. We need somebody who's aggressive. You look at his overall, PFF grade. Is that what it's called, Ty? Yeah. Is it the PPF or PFF, right? I can't remember which one. Yeah, PFF. Thank you. Yeah, and you look at his grade. He's grades extremely high. I think he's what in the 82 to 86%. I can't remember which one it was.
85.7.
Yeah. Okay. So you look at him overall. That's a great grab. You bring him in. He gets to familiarize himself, and now he gets to play real free. He kind of did that at Michigan, by the way. Michigan runs a similar style to this. Again, it's a mesh. Everybody's moving towards this same mesh of this 3-4 nickel, basically, right? 4-2-5, 3-4 nickel with ability to replace, as you just said, Coach Carl, being able to replace. I don't know if it's necessarily they replaced a rover, so because you still have your Husky, which would be your apex player, right? Yep, your apex player is still in the game because he plays basically another linebacker, right? He's a linebacker or
the apex player is your rover, so
okay. So in that aspect, then you're looking at, you bring in Jeremiah Alexander along with your other linebackers to match up maybe against a more physical team. What do we do coverage wise? Well, the coverage doesn't necessarily change, right? What it does is, this is where we talk about vision break coverage. I cannot express to people enough. I mean, is it Jeff Hatley or Halfley, right? Who is at Ohio State, now the D coordinator for Green Bay Packers. He runs this coverage.
Yeah.
Right.
Boston College guy. Yeah.
Yes. And you saw the improvement Ohio State made when he came in. Their improvement was dramatic. I'll just put it that way. I don't have the numbers right in front of me, but it was a dramatic improvement. And that's because it allowed these players to understand, how to utilize speed and space, as you just said, Coach Carl. You get these guys who get to a real good feel of the field, whether it's the field side or boundary side, right? And understanding on the boundary side how to utilize that out of bounds, right? Your boundary marker from a standpoint of, now I can cut off this many routes in the route tree.
Facts.
And I can play from this position to make a break on these different routes. Majority of time, based on percentage of what we've seen in film, they run this, and this, and these sets. This is where I need to put myself to make these plays. It is such an easy concept. And now you put the speed out there. So now you have Deshaun Brown. You have, and I can't believe I'm forgetting his name. Come on, guys, from USC.
Damani Jackson.
Damani, God, I can't believe I forgot that. You got Damani Jackson. You want to talk about speed and aggression, right? You know, with Brown, you look at his abilities. Watching his film, I love his aggression, right? But he also plays he does a really smooth job of fitting in the passing lanes that you wouldn't necessarily say, oh man, like I didn't realize this guy was that good because he came from Wake Forest. Happens all the time though, right? Now you got Damani Jackson, fully healthy. A lot of guys have said different things. I like him on the field side. He's fast. He can cover everything. On the field side, you got a lot more space you got to cover. You got to probably stick with that man, but at the same time, you got to have the discipline to see that quarterback, right? Because that's the idea of that vision coverage. Quarterback. So what's the quarterback's drop? Okay, he's in shotgun. He's not dropping anymore, right? So now what is his shoulders doing? What is he telling us with his body language? I can't look, I was a cop, right? I used to be a cop. Crazy. I know. Unbelievable. One of the things I used to do was train new guys. And one of the things you really got to train to give people confidence so they don't make stupid ass decisions that we see all the time, right? Is you train on body language. You train on learning people. You train on watching. So you're not a dumbass.
I thought you were about to teach everybody how to run away from God.
That too. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah. Hey, everybody. You guys want to learn how to jump and run? Let's roll. But I'll tell you this is, like, you have to train these aspects, right? And you learn. Ty's over there having a side ache from laughing so hard, but you have to learn, like, you got to be able to read these aspects. Well, the quarterback's going to give it away. That's why they're saying eyes on quarterback, right? You're not facing Dan Marino every single. That's a great example because that dude's going to sling it in the pockets, right? That you're not going to be able to get to. Yeah, that's the case. You're not facing quarterbacks like that. Michael Penix was probably one of the only quarterbacks this last year. And for everyone who wants to shit on him, screw you. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not going to say that. But here's the deal. Michael Penix is the only dude that I saw who had the cannon, right, in ball placement when he was on. He wasn't on. I'll give you that, Mike Fort. He wasn't on in the national championship. Mike, you big Michigan fan. Good for you, dude. But I'll tell you, other than that, you watch him versus Texas, man, he's putting that ball in places nobody's getting to. The ball's coming in way too hot, man. And those wide receivers did a really good job. What was that, Coach?
That Michigan D-line was on them, too.
Oh, they were, man. And that's the idea, right? Put that pressure. And you say it, man. We have the tanks, the beasts on the outside. They're that depth there is wild. I get excited talking about it because you know what? I would love to play in this defense just to go smack somebody, man. Play with aggression and just full speed. Damn, like exciting. I love that. There's a safety mindset for you, everybody.
Shout out to my brother, Coach Smook is in the house. Much love to Coach. I wish you was in here, man. You need to be in here with me and Ty with all these defensive players, man. Told you to come, bro. You was out feeding your face, man. You know what I mean? You need to be in here. These defensive players are plentiful, Smook. We got to do something. They're ganging up on me and Ty, bro. What you was about to say, Coach?
And another thing that Coach Sean asked about the physicality of the defensive backs, right? Mm-hmm. Nick Saban, before he left, he did Caleb DeBoer a favor. Mm-hmm. All of the defensive back that he recruited in the last 2 years were physical. They come downhill and they will hit you. Every single one he recruited. I think he got tired of those soft tackles like Kool-Aid and McKinstry. So he came and started recruiting kids that come down the hill and lay the wood. Every single one he recruited would come down the hill and lay the wood on you. They are not afraid to lay the wood. So when it comes down to physicality, we don't have a problem with physicality. Fear factor, we don't have that. No, and most of the kids that we recruited came out of Alabama. Yeah. So they know the blue blood. They wanted to play for Alabama, or they came from Georgia. They came from the SEC. They here because they wanted to be here. The ones that came from afar, they left. And some of the ones that left, like Caden Proctor, he left and came back home because he know what he was good at. Caleb Bound, from what I've been here, wants to come home, but he can't give up the money. There's a lot of money he took. He want to come home, but that money, it's a lot he can't give it back. So I think he probably gonna come back home next year. From what I'm hearing.
Coach Carl dropping some hot takes, everybody. I hope you guys all just heard that. I hope you all just heard that. That was a good. I like it, Coach. Yeah.
So let me transition to Ty with this before we wrap up and get up out of here. We get a lot, and I wish Coach Smook was here for this segment. We get a lot of people still doubting my brother Jalen Milroe, man. You know what I'm saying? Ty, I want you to speak to these people, man. I want you to. What's up, Dwight? Roll Tide, Dwight. I want you to speak to these people, man. Shout out to Always Believe in Bama. Much love to you, Auntie Janet. Jay Jackson up in here. Shout out to you, bro. I want you to speak to Adam Lamparillo. I want you to speak to him, Ty. You know, I'm gonna chime in with you before we wrap up. Speak to them and ease their nerves, man, about Jalen Milroe. Jalen is about to have a huge season. I don't think people understand what they're in for right now. I don't think people understand that this offense, as an offensive guy, like the guys were just speaking about boundaries and field sides. I don't think people understand, like, when you're an offensive guy, shout out to Lisa Fitz, I don't think they understand, like, when you're an offensive guy, we like the bound. We like trying to make you guys match numbers only so we can run counter the other way, right? We like you to commit resources away. It's very simple, guys. I want you to speak to them, Ty, and tell them why they should have faith in Jalen Milroe.
Yeah, very simple. This is the best offensive coaching staff he has worked with. Gentlemen, we ran through the video yesterday and broke it down. Brian, yesterday I said it was last week, but time has absolutely flown by. But you have Brian Ellis, who's a tight end coach, who set records with Bailey Zappi at Western Kentucky, both as a quarterback coach and an offensive passing game coordinator and offensive coordinator. Nick Sheridan, former quarterback for Michigan, has been working with the likes of Michael Penix. He's the guy who recruited Michael Penix. He's the guy who developed Michael Penix alongside with Kalen DeBoer, who has been an offensive guru. Coach Shepard, the wide receivers coach, was the passing game coordinator at Washington. Mm-hmm. You know, we can talk a lot about how does this staff compare to Alabama's previous staff under Nick Saban, and Nick Saban is the unquestioned GOAT. But from an offensive staff standpoint, this staff is better. Retaining Gillespie was massive. You retain him. He's one of the best running back coaches in all of college football. You look around, wide receiver coach, upgrade, offensive coordinator, upgrade, offensive line coach. I think it's going to be an upgrade when you look at the scheme. Tight end coach, I love Joe Cox. So listen, all due respect to Joe Cox, this guy is probably a diamond in the rough is Ellis. Someone that this coaching staff has looked at and said, okay, Nick Sheridan might not be here too long if we have the type of year we expect to have. So how do we supplement that loss? Oh, you just hire a Brian Ellis who's worked with quarterbacks, who's set record with quarterbacks, who's been an offensive coordinator. So Jalen Milroe is surrounded by people who know how to develop quarterbacks. Gentlemen, just a few years ago, he had a teacher tell him, I don't want to teach you. Yeah. It was his job to teach him. And he straight up said, I don't want to do it. Go be a wide receiver. And then with Bryce Young, Bill O'Brien basically told him, I don't know, Bryce, call the play, set the adjust. I don't know. Do whatever it is you do. I'm going to sit over here and eat bonbons. And it worked because Bryce is an absolute magician. Coach Carl, I've said this all the time. Have you ever seen Houdini and Bryce Young in the same room? Because I haven't. And I'm beginning to wonder whether or not they're the same person because Bryce is a magician. I don't know that I've ever seen college quarterbacks do what Bryce did on a week-in, week-out basis. It was spectacular. He now has resources. On top of that, gentlemen, we can go back and look at the history of quarterbacks who had a good year one, then were graduates and got to focus fully on football and watch how they take off. I think when you look at all of this, he has now got an offensive coach that knows how to develop him. And the last thing I'll say, gentlemen, is one of the most encouraging things I heard Kalen DeBoer say was in an interview, and I'm not going to be able to completely quote this, so I apologize for that. But the basic gist of what Kalen DeBoer was saying to Jalen Milroe is, hey, I love how much you want to be a better quarterback, how much you want to be a pocket passer, but do not go away from your God-given ability as a runner. You have a gifted arm. Use it. But you also have an ability that the 1% of the 1% hope to have. Don't shy away from that. Use it. He wants Jalen Milroe to be Jalen Milroe, and that's powerful.
Dude, I gotta get in on this. I gotta get on this Milroe talk because I get super pissed off when I hear everybody talking about this damn stuff. Stupid. Where do you guys get your facts that you think Jalen Milroe is not going to be good? Like, that's insane.
I don't know.
It's insane.
Man.
All you have to do is look at every place Kalen DeBoer has been with a quarterback, period. You just got to look at every single place he's been. Go listen to what was his name? Jake Hayner, okay, from Fresno State.
Yeah.
Look what
Fresno
he did to
State,
Jake
yeah.
Hayner. Jake Hayner ended up getting drafted.
Jake Hayner. Say it again. Say it again, Milroe.
Jake Hayner from Fresno State.
Half the people in the chat don't know who the hell that is.
You know, has a similar playing style. Similar playing style is Milroe. Hayner liked to move around a lot, and he had to. He's at Fresno State, but go watch him. Go watch his improvement. Dramatic. Now, who's he playing for? New Orleans Saints, and he's doing really freaking good. And he credits DeBoer and that staff for really developing him. Listen to DeBoer's interviews. What does he like to be involved in? He likes to be involved in the wide receivers. He's everywhere, but he really likes to be involved in the wide receivers and the quarterbacks. Okay. Him with Sheridan literally develop Penix into what he was. Get Penix, the number 8 pick in the first round to Atlanta Falcons. And I'll tell you
the Falcons, he could have been a Viking.
Yeah, man, they made a smart move.
Don't get tired started, bro.
But let me say this though. But you look at, I've heard this talked about a few times. It's like DeBoer also is doing something very, very smart. Very smart. You should do with players who have a natural ability to ball, right?
Yeah.
I want to help refine and get your skill set to be better. Like, yeah, keep working on these things, but don't take away what makes you a baller. College football, NCAA 25 with EA Sports. What has everyone said? They said, dude, Milroe's like impossible to tackle on that game. Well, guess what? That's real life too. That there's a reason why he's at the top speed notch. There's a reason why he's hard to tackle, right? He's going to utilize Milroe's skill set. Everybody needs to. I'm going to tell you one thing right now. SEC is about to be put on notice. What happens because they have a 3-headed monster at running back. I think the best running back room in the nation. He didn't have that at Washington. You have an offensive line that returns 4 starters because I've said it before. I count Parker Brailsford as a starter. He started in this offense already. He's an All-American, okay, freshman All-American. All right, I'm telling you, man. The next thing you know is with these guys, you can your next tackle position. Everyone's worried who's it going to be. Dude, you got 3, maybe 4 guys who are going to come in there, and he's going to be fine. Whoever it is, whoever they end up picking. All right. Yeah. I'm telling you, man, like right here, this is what I'm trying to say is you look at what they have offensive line. You look at the running backs, you look at Milroe and his ability already to run, to see what he needs to see. But now he refines all these skills. He gets better. He works with the quarterback coach. These guys are really saying, hey, this is what you look at. This is what you should see. We're not going to change this or this. I'm going to tell you right now, think about this. Like these guys, this offensive line, number 1, yeah, Mike Fort, you brought this up because Washington was a Joe Moore award-winning line last year. But guess what? This year, probably going to be Alabama. I know that's a bold, hot take for everybody. But guess what? These guys, we went over this over and over again. We just talked about this in Coach Sean, the last video. One of the videos that we've done, go back and check it out. We talk about this coaching staff. We talk about Coach Cap. I mean, it's phenomenal. But I'm telling you right now, go and watch Milroe in overall. Like, Nino from Nino Sports Corner, right? He talks about the massive jump that Vince Young made. Okay, this is the exact same scenario. Just get ready. Like, yeah, you know what? In the meantime, everyone just keep talking shit because all it's going to do is just help him win a Heisman. Get ready. It's going to be fun to watch.
It's going to be fun to watch.
I say this about Milroe. Look at the offensive coordinator he had last year and the stats he put up last year. And then you pull him in Caleb DeBoer's system. Look out. That's all I'm going to say. College football.
Boom. I'll finish it off by saying this, man. Listen, man. Jalen Milroe with a competent offensive scheme. That's a key word, man. Competent offensive scheme. No more high lows. just a competent offensive scheme. And they can say what they want with all due respect to Ohio State, Henderson, and all those guys who hadn't been healthy. To me, I would put Justice Haynes, Jam Miller, and Richard Young, along with Daniel Hill and the young freshman that's still coming in. I would put them guys against any running back room in the country, bro, in this offense. Any running back room in the country, man. Justice Haynes is going to put the world on notice. I think the world know about Jam already. Justice Haynes is going to put the world on notice this year. You'll know him after this season. And but listen, man, before we tap out, let me give a special thanks, bro, to my brother Ty Hayes, who came on here. I'm still green to this stuff. Shout out to my brother Bear, man. I ain't hollered at Bear all night, man. What's up, Bear? Shout out to Run the Table Sports right here. Boom. You know what I mean? Shout out to Bear, man. Much love. Shout out to my brother Gil Cruz, too, man. Gil, another football coach right there. Shout out to the brother Gil Cruz, man. Love you, Gil, for sure, man. You stayed in my prayers, bro. That's all facts, man. I want to say a special thanks to Ty for coming in and helping me out with this stuff, man. Shout out to Coach Smook, who always spearhead me on this kind of stuff, man. What to do, what not to do. You know what I mean? He gonna tell me when I do something wrong. You know what I mean? But he kind of like leave me. He my parachute when it comes to this social media stuff, bro. You know what I mean? Ty hopped on with me and really took the point and ran with it, man. I wouldn't be where I'm at right now, man. Which is still low, man, on the totem pole. But Ty Hayes, Coach Moore, and boys have helped me like y'all wouldn't believe. Shout out to my brother Jake, whose takes are absolutely outstanding. Wouldn't be here without Jake hopping on with me, man. And shout out to my special guest right here, Coach Carl Taylor, man. Much love to you for coming on with us, brother, and blessing us with your knowledge. We really, really appreciate you. You welcome here anytime you want, man. I'm just getting started, man. And much love to all you guys in the chat. I ain't got a damn name yet. AAA, undefeated AAA. AAA, undefeated A. I ain't
B2A.
B2A, the belt to ass click. B2A click. The B2A guild group. Really, whatever. We're gonna find a name. Auntie Janet, we're gonna find us a name. The B2A crew, something. We're gonna find something to keep it cracking. But much love to Carla. What's up, Carla? How you doing? Much love to see you. Shout out to Mike Ford, man. Mike Ford, as long as he been coming over here, been talking ball, man. I really respect other fan bases that come to talk ball, not just 100%. Troll, but talk ball. I got respect for Mike Ford because he know his ball. He's a Michigan fan, and he gonna keep it what it is. So thank all of you for tapping in with me, man. Much love to you guys. I'm really, really humble. Every time I hop on here, man, and you guys tap in with me and talk ball. Ty, again, much special thanks for helping me out, man. I couldn't have done it without you being on here helping me out with this stuff. Jake, Coach, you guys blessed me with your presence as always. I really, really, really appreciate it, man, more than you could possibly imagine. Thank you guys again for tapping in. Ty, let them know where they can find you.
Yeah, you can find me anywhere that will give me a microphone and allow me a few seconds to talk, right? And my wife thanks all of you for allowing me to talk to you all about this instead of berating her with my football rants. You can find me at Round the Table Sports. You can find me at Twitter. You can find me on Bleacher Report. Remember, June 12th, 2 p.m. Central Standard Time, I will be on Bleacher Report doing a show talking about the SEC, who you need to watch for in the SEC, which we actually just got done talking about over at Around the Table Sports. And speaking of sitting around the table, we will be back tomorrow, 9:30 a.m. I'll let you know in the morning with Coach Sean, with Coach Jake, with Coach Jay, and whoever else wants to join, as we will be talking about. I don't even know what we're going to talk about, but we're going to have a good time. So
I got subjects. We're good.
There we go. He's got us covered.
We got some serious shit to talk about in the morning.
Shout out to Mr. Renrico. Renrico, what's up, bro? Shout out to Renrico, man. Tim Nolan, what's up? Carla Bailey, what's up, man? Thank you guys. Coach, I don't know if you got a YouTube channel yet, but you better crank one up from what the fans say. Where can they find you?
They just hit me up on Twitter at Coach KD Taylor.
Coach
and like I said, man, anytime y'all feel like y'all want me to come on, just shoot me a link and then I'll jump on. And I'm thinking about doing a YouTube. I just want to do something positive for some of these young kids in Alabama and around our little district that don't get a whole lot of shine. So I was thinking about doing something like that where guys, I can invite guys like y'all to come on there and they can sit down and talk to y'all and let them get a pitch to y'all about why somebody should recruit them. So and then we drop free highlights and stuff like that. So I would do
let
that.
me say, brother, your voice has touched the people. And you know, sometimes God show you stuff, man, when you don't even see it yourself. I'm a prime product of that. You know, look, man, you know, do that, man. If that's your vision, do that. These guys right here have helped me, along with Coach Smook, along with others, have helped me, man. And the people in the chat, these guys right here, they help you. They love football. Everybody you see in that chat, they love football. No matter what fan base they support, they love the football, man. They gonna tap in and talk ball. Coach Al is another one, right? My man right here, Coach Al, is another coach that we tap into, man. Coach Al is very knowledgeable, along with Coach Gil Cruz, along with a lot of us, man. There's a lot of us, and the fans are awesome. Like my brother JJ, like them dudes is real dudes, man. Real young ladies. Auntie Janet, they love the game, they love the team. My boy Bear, and they gonna ride with you, man. So whatever you decide, Coach, you know, we rocking with you, man. You know what I'm saying? Coach Jay, where can they find you?
Yeah. Everybody got a Twitter, right? So you guys follow me on Twitter. It's capital, right? But Coach_J Merr, JMERR, right? All capital, Coach_J Merr. So follow me on there. We're definitely going to get, I'm going to work with these guys, get a channel up and running. So we can just jump to different platforms. In the end of the day, I think the biggest thing is Alabama football needs to be the fans, everybody. It needs to be together. It's special, but not just Alabama football, all of football, college football in general, from the high school aspect of what Coach Carl's just saying. It's great to get out there and notice these kids. And Coach Carl, I'm all on board. You let me know, man. I will come chat with those kids anytime and go over whatever you guys want to go over. Thanks. I love that stuff, and I'm all about helping people get better, right? Whether it's football, whether it's life, man, just hit any of us up. Truthfully, we've all been through different aspects of life, and it's beautiful how football teaches you so many quality lessons that you can go on and utilize to better other people, to better yourself, and to keep giving back to this world in a positive manner, right? And that is the key. That is the key. That's the only reason why I would start a channel, is because that's my take. I love seeing everybody come together. Bama fans come together. The strongest, probably most prestigious school in college football history, right? Like right here. And the fan base is what makes it that too. It's a big part of that. You know what I'm saying? So it's a pleasure to come in and chat with you guys. And I appreciate everybody jumping in. If you haven't already, run the likes up for Coach Sean's channel. Subscribe. It's fun being able to go live. Obviously, Coach Ty, but I Coach Ty, because you call him that.
Coach Ty, yeah, Coach Ty.
But man, with like Ty Hayes, Around Table Sports, love it. You know, it's a lot of fun. And in the end of the day, like, man, just bringing people together to get to know each other. It's the first time I get a chance to chat with Coach Carl, and it's been phenomenal. I love hearing what he has to say. He's very, very, very smart and knowledgeable, man. Like, so awesome. I'm gonna make sure I follow you on Twitter and get your digits so we can talk some more ball outside of this. But in general, I just appreciate everybody. In the end of the day, like, yeah, come join us whenever we're on. We're gonna try to get those announced. We're learning this stuff. Coach Al, I love it, man. Gil Cruz, man, love that. All the guys in here, man. Like, it's so awesome. And it'd be fun to hear your takes, because Gil, I know you played some college ball. Coach Al, I know you've coached, and I would love to partner up with you too. And as soon as I get this damn channel up and going, I'll work on that this weekend, guys. I'll work on that this weekend, because I wanna participate with everybody. And in the end of the day, build each other up, be the best you can. And you know, I'm gonna post something I think tomorrow morning before we get on that I think everybody should come tune in on the Twitter. And it's from our famous coach, and somebody I think we can all learn quality life lessons from, with Bear Bryant. I'm going to post that in the morning, and I hope you guys all appreciate it. So make sure you check that out in the morning and repost all over, because every day, be a winner. Be a winner.
Hey, Coach,
and we're going.
I think you got your check. Either you got the B2A squad, or you get or somebody just said the Boom squad. So you got
they named it, bro. That's good stuff, bro. They know
what you got, B2A Nation or the Boom Squad. Which one you want?
Man, I don't know. I'm gonna let the chat decide. You know what I mean? I just
Yeah,
enjoy.
you run a poll on that. Run a poll
Yeah,
on that.
bro. The trolls coming here. You know, they we put belt their ass on the trolls, man. Always believe in Bama. Shout out to you, brother. I thank you for tapping in. I'm gonna learn how to do the wrench thing too. I'm gonna let Ty show me how to do that too, because I have no clue how to do it, right? But I'm learning, brother, learning.
Hey,
So
me
much
neither,
love,
so
y'all, man.
I'm
Much
learning
love to
too.
y'all,
So
bro. I'm about to introduce y'all to our friend. His name is the Spinning Wheel of Doom. Roll Tide to everybody in the chat. Much love to you guys, and until tomorrow, be blessed.
Roll Tide.
Roll Tide.